Okay. All right, good afternoon, everyone. We are here at our regular Board of County Commissioner meeting, July 18th. It is 1:32. I ask everyone to please silence your cell phones and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Do we have any community informational items? Commissioner Fiedler?
None for me.
Okay, Commissioner Marcella?
Bright Start has a board opening, so if anybody is interested, we are accepting just letters of interest or general. If you are interested in participating, just shoot me an email or a text, and I would be happy to bring that to our board. Tim and I have finished the budgeted amount of our transit grant and pulled out the capital expenditure from our MMOF award. So we should see that contract coming to us shortly, and then we can move forward with the rest of the implementation on the transit side of things. So that was finished last Friday. We'll reapply for our operating grant with CDOT for the Summit Stage. That's due on Friday. So Tim and I will work on that in our off time this week.
Right. And sorry, I missed, we have to go back to approval of the agenda, but
yeah, no worries.
for community informational items, the co-swap DNR award that we have been given over the last couple of years, the Swift crews are on site at CMC campus and county lands around the community field and up at CMC campus. They're making swift work of mitigation efforts up there. There's a combination of treatments and patchwork and thinning, leaving some areas. So if you go up and use the trails, even if you just go up and drive on the driveway, you can see a lot of the progress being made up there. Those crews will be here through August. They'll be, I think there's one more break, and then they'll be here for a last 4-week stint for the, which I believe will finish up their 26-week commitment with us. And if not, we'll see if we get them back next season. But it's been a really great to see that happening on the ground. Anything else before I go back to our agenda approval? No? Okay. All right. So for the approval of our agenda, we need to move a few items on our agenda. We are going to schedule a special meeting July 26th. An afternoon meeting, 9:30, okay. And move items 2, which is the MOU between the commissioners and the library board. Item number 4, which is this discussion of the PSA with Greg Berry. Item number 6, which is our core service plan. Item number 7, discussion and resolution of Lake County financial policies. And then also an additional item not listed, the consideration of our software purchase, SPSS statistics for the assessor's office. We'll get that to you, Tracy, if you don't already have that in writing. I think you do with the revised agenda that was not posted in time.
Right.
I think that new edit is on there.
That will go on next week's.
The 26th, yes, please. I also failed to review our minutes listed here, so proposing to punt that one item from our consent agenda as well. The minutes in the consent agenda, can you move that?
Those are Cindy's minutes.
Okay, we did not review them, so can you also add them to the next?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Tracy.
But I do have a veterans rights.
The better, okay.
Yeah, we'll do those. So with those changes, the items remaining are the 3, item 1, 3, and 5 for today.
And then there's public comment.
Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Looks good.
Consideration of interim Lake County Assessor appointment, discussion of the special events permits and the PSA with the Fire Service Solutions.
Yes.
All right, great. Can I have a motion to approve the revised agenda and table items to July 26th as discussed?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion?
Not for me.
None for me either, thank you.
Thanks, hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
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 All right. And having gone through community informational items, we'll get to public comment. So public comment for items not on the agenda. Citizens wishing to speak have 3 minutes. Please raise your hand and state your name and address. For those of you online, use the raise your hand or send us some signal. We realize it could be clunky virtually, so, but I will call on you. We'll go with those in the room first. Yes.
Steve Rogers, 142 Perry Peak Drive, Twin Lakes. I'm wondering if you published a document that justifies the 66% property tax increase, the county document that justifies the increase in revenue.
Mr. Rogers, we don't have discussion on public comment, but you're welcome to discuss that with, we don't.
The law says that the generation of revenue for the county is based on the budget of the county.
Correct.
If your budget's gone up 66%, then I understand the property tax increase. But if it hasn't gone up 66%, then the tax increase is invalid.
And that budget has not been set yet, so that doesn't
you plan on
match.
raising it 66%?
Nobody said that, sir. Those processes, we're going through those department projections and presentations, and the October 12th deadline will be the first.
How can you do the budget after you do the taxation?
The valuation will calculate the mill levies in November, and so the taxes for 23 are collectible in 24. But the county commissioners have until December 10th to allocate a mill levy for our taxing entity, not any additional taxing entities within Lake County, so we don't have that information available until December 10th.
So if the property tax revenue went up 66%, then the mill levy would have to go down dramatically.
Well, we know that the valuation increased, yes, but we have not set a budget yet, and we have until December 10th to set our mill levy.
So we don't know what those revenues look like. Next public comment? Yes, Justin.
I'm Justin Kurth. I'm actually from Canyon City. I'm here representing Congresswoman Brittany Pedersen, the 7th Congressional District. Just making a formal introduction to the Board of County Commissioners, but also to the community here and online to say that we're here to serve you there in Canyon City and in the Lakewood office, but also the DC office as well. There's a couple of projects I want to touch on briefly that are being worked on behalf of counties, or of the county, or rather entities in the county. They are the St. Vincent Hospital, where a community project fund was requested through the through the same name process. The step that those fund requests are in is in the House Appropriations Committee. That most recent update is now that the House Appropriations Committee has approved them, but not in the same amounts that were requested. So for instance, the St. Vincent Hospital request came in just under, we'll say under 600,000. Most of it was approved out of the House Appropriations Committee. That needs to be taken through conference, through the Senate. It's got several other steps, but at least this step has found itself in a positive direction there. Leadville Housing, $1.7 million request has come at $850,000. So we're working we're working with our partner offices on that, so to increase that funding, to see the request made whole. Meanwhile, the services don't stop there. If you or your citizens have issues with any federal agency that we can do service to you or them, we're happy to do so. Whether it's me or my partners at the Lakewood or DC offices were ready to get to work, but also the congressman. She's thoroughly involved on seeing what policies your citizens would like to see come out of the district. So that's all I have.
Excellent, thanks for making the time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate the support.
Thank
It's
you.
exciting news.
Thank you, and I did forget, if I can, to say that mobile office hours will be held at the City Hall from 2 to 5 today. So if anybody has need to contact me directly face to face, that's where I'll be, and that's where I'm headed right now. So thank
Can we
you.
ask him a
Excellent.
question?
Excellent. No, sir.
Vote for the relief of the tax.
So 2 to 5 p.m. at the City Hall, I'll be there.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Justin. Yes.
Hi, Cameron Millard, 183 Shadow Valley Drive. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm here to speak to you today about the system failure of the Lake County Community Solar Garden. Developed in 2015, this 500 kW system has numerous subscribers in Lake County, including individuals such as Bob and Jane Agan, Parkville Water, Lake County itself, and a 5% carve-out for low-income households. Lake County Board of Commissioners, Mike Bordonia, along with Bruce Hicks and Dolores Stemsack in particular, were instrumental in getting this installation here in our community to meet the clean energy goals of the Lake County Energy Working Group, a board which led to the creation of the Cloud City Conservation Center, among other significant milestones. I also worked to promote this project in my role as Energy Programs Director at the Cloud City Conservation Center. I was shocked to learn recently that the solar garden has been out of commission for over a year due to a series of inverter equipment faults. To make matters worse, the original developer, Clean Energy Collective, filed for bankruptcy and ownership and management was sold off. The economic impact of having this system down for 1 year is, by the back of the envelope math, close to $100,000 in economic value shared among the subscribers. I've been told that the cost of a new inverter is in that approximate range as well. It seems to be poor business practice on behalf of the owners to allow such a valuable asset to linger in disrepair for so long, but here we are. The reason I'm here today is to implore you, the Lake County Board of County Commissioners, to use your position as elected officials to take action and put pressure on the ownership of this installation to rectify the problem. Every day that goes by with this installation in disrepair has an economic impact on the taxpayers of Lake County as they cover higher utility bills for county operations, to the individual subscribers like Bob and Jane, who may need to raise the rent at their rental home to cover the cost of lost revenue, to the ratepayers of Parkville Water, who invested heavily in this installation to reduce their operating costs, and to the low-income recipients getting help on their energy bills, and to the environment and clean energy supply that this community has deemed critically important to the future well-being of our economy and environment. It is also hurting the legacy of clean energy in this community to have this installation down. Please do not wait to take action. As elected officials, you have power that ordinary citizens do not have to instigate change and apply pressure. Review your records, do your homework and due diligence, and please don't sit this one out. There are individuals like John Wells and organizations like Parkville that have been trying to solve this problem for over a year. You can help them, the community subscribers, the low-income solar recipients, and your own budget by taking any number of actions appropriate to your office and position of leverage. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cam.
Tim and Chris, I know we've been in communication, we've also just learned about this. Can we set a work session agenda item for this with Public Works and perhaps Parkville to understand? And you can share what you've learned, Chris, from Parkville's attorney, and just hearing from them, if anything?
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay.
I mean, we've done our research on our end, but I can draft a letter for the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any more public comment? Okay.
Emily Olson, 604 Dexter. I'm here in my capacity as the executive director at C4, just to offer support both for Cameron's public comment and to the BOCC if there's anything that C4 and my staff can do to help address this issue. We're more than happy to help. I also am on the Parkville board, and I'm more than happy to help coordinate between the board and the county to help get this back up and running. We helped bring this project here, and we want to help make sure that it is working to serve our community.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Emily, I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it'd be great to circle back on those conversations we've had on this. I know you had transition in staff, I think, but we had reached out to you guys to help us figure out who's running what and how we figure out who to contact. So that'd be great if y'all could step back in and help us.
Yeah.
Is the work session you're gonna put it on, is that the July 26th?
No, that's a
Okay.
different special meeting.
I
But
will keep
we'll-
my eyes out for it.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll make sure that Tim and Christine contact to make sure that you're included in that meeting, that follow-up. Yeah.
All right, any other public comment in the room before I go online? I don't see any here, so any public comment from those of you joining us online? All right, I don't see anybody attempting to unmute or ask for public comment online. All right, seeing none, we'll move on our agenda. So first item of business on our agenda is the consideration and appointment of an interim Lake County assessor. As many folks might know, Assessor Miguel Martinez resigned last Thursday. And I will ask probably the county attorney to give us a little bit of history of what our steps will be, but for the interim, before Miguel resigned, he appointed a deputy, hired a deputy, and effectively without an elected official, we don't really have the position in that elected office, at least, to have staff. So we're going to make an appointment in the interim. We have published a notice for soliciting letters of interest. August 4th is that deadline. And we will hold a similar process of vetting and interviewing folks interested in the community who want to be appointed to that role. They would then be appointed for the remainder of this current term. Chris, do you want to give us a little bit more background there? Please.
Just in keeping, so statutorily, when any other elected official besides a commissioner resigns or for some reason their office becomes vacant, then the Board of County Commissioners has the authority to appoint someone to replace them for the remainder of their term. And so that is the process that we made. As Commissioner Mudge mentioned, letters of interest will be solicited for the period of time noted till August the 4th. After that point in time, there will be vetting of those candidates who express their interest and at some point the commissioners will make a decision as to who to appoint. And again, whoever the candidate is chosen to be appointed for that will serve the remainder of former Assessor Martinez's term for that until the next general election for that position.
Sorry, we don't take questions, sir.
It has to do with the assessment.
We're not taking questions or comments during our agenda items today.
Can we get the deputy assessor in here, please, Liz? Thanks. For a little bit of background right now and where we're at with maybe the transition or status of the office, and please jump in or stop me if I'm misspeaking, but the Board of Commissioners is currently sitting as Board of Equalizations for these next 2 weeks. We have till August 5th as a deadline to hear our petitions that have come in. All those requesting hearing times have been assigned hearing times. We also have extra days and slots to accommodate other folks. We've been working through those diligently the last 2 days. We will see those the rest of this week and next. And we will be scheduling a final meeting to discuss and deliberate the individual petitions. We usually do not make those determinations upon those individual hearings, but wait to add consideration and conversation with assessor's office staff, along with any potential larger categorical trends that we're seeing to equitably apply across those protests. The office is also going through a audit period to look at all of our valuations and numbers, since we've had kind of a lot of turmoil in there. Mark Wadsworth has joined us in the room here. Mark is the current deputy. Mark, we were just discussing our consideration for appointing an interim assessor and discussing our deadline for our letters of interest on August 4th. The proposal set before us and the recommendation is to appoint Mark, our deputy assessor, as our interim assessor. Any discussion from the board and/or Mark, would you accept such an appointment?
Yes, I will.
Great.
I don't have anything, just to make sure that, just for the general public, that there's clarification that we will still continue to accept those letters of interest until August 4th, and then we'll, in the interim, develop an interview process for those that are interested in the position, and then go from there. But Mark will, should he accept and the board make that motion, serve in that capacity. So, yeah.
Mark, I wanted to offer, and since we've kind of been through this a couple of times in other elected offices, and the, 12 days now, maybe you've been here? And my working with you since I've been out of the office for the last couple of weeks, in the last 2 days, has been a very positive one. You've already shown and kind of harnessed all the resources available to you. I want to offer the same kind of conversations similar to what we had with our interim sheriff. We had been doing our diligence, county manager, attorney, and the board to support that office as best we could. I think in conversations in our last protests over the last 2 days, we've hit on topics such as supporting you in contracting,
Audit compliance
and help, and really pushing to look for outside consulting and resources that may be above the expense of simply hiring, but we're at a point, and I think we're all on the same page of understanding the critical need for getting competent, efficient support for you over the next couple of weeks, at least before the August 4th and or the final appointment for the elected office position. How are you feeling about continued collaboration and conversation with the board, continuing to work with Tim and the attorney to propose and draft professional services agreements? We definitely want to continue the conversation to potentially post for staffing some positions, although the likelihood of getting that to happen in the next 2 or 3 weeks, simply just by the nature of the time frame for that process, is not likely. But I just want to offer that if we could agree or just continue the conversation of like the realistic and timely goals that collectively we want to tackle. I would love to hear your thoughts on kind of setting some expectation for the next few weeks.
Sure. And I do appreciate to Chris and the board. You guys have really been real easy to work with. It was very troubling, experience. I walked into the guy told me into a house that was on fire without a hose. And you guys have really gone out of your way to help me. I think the continued conversations with both the state auditor, possible help from Valley West to get us where we need to be. During and after the County Board of Equalization hearings, and what the findings that we have during those hearings, to move forward to correct some certain valuation areas in the county. And you guys have been great for helping me with that, and yeah, I definitely want to continue that and get us to where we need to be in a relatively short time.
Yeah.
These numbers tightened up.
Cool.
Summer's burning fast.
I don't have any questions about the process or.
No.
I think that we can internally, Tim and Chris can connect with Mark, and we can meet to get those resource needs met in the next couple weeks while we're looking for staff and a final final appointment, so I don't seem to have any questions.
I do believe that there are some positions that are posted and candidate, applicants have been for
Okay.
the office because there have been some vacancies prior to Mr. Wadsworth coming in as the deputy. And so I think those already exist and are being processed through human resources appropriately, so.
Okay,
Great.
Look at that as well.
Okay.
cool, thank you.
Any specific motion language?
I will make a motion that we approve the appointment of Mark Wadsworth as the interim Lake County Assessor until the board has completed their application process for final fulfillment of the remainder of Mr. Martinez's term.
A second?
Okay, any further discussion?
Maybe just one addition. I mean, I think you'd cover this, but with the open positions, maybe just in your copious spare time, get up to speed on sort of how we run the HR stuff and what those open positions are, and yeah, just so you know what that means.
Oh yeah, like
because-
Jazz HR.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
we have software that tracks that.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah. So,
I would offer and/or heavily communicate with Ally and Tim on,
yeah,
and not, I mean, I know you're looking at other software for the valuation pieces, so, yeah, I mean, those are really important things that we want everybody to understand, but I think you can definitely continue to reach out to Tim and Ally to get a grasp if that even comes up to potentially make any hire or do any interviews. And I will reiterate, I think in our conversation through a petition, please continue to work through enhancing the scope of work that we already have with a professional services agreement, and filling those gaps with other highly experienced folks that you can find. All right, sorry.
No, that was it.
Yeah. All right, if there's no further discussion, all of those in favor?
Aye.
I,
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. All right, next on our agenda, previously listed as item 3, but will be item 2, discussion and consideration of our special event permits for Boom Days, August 4th and 6th, Leadville Trail 100, mountain bike, and Leadville Trail 10K run, August 10th through 13th, and Leadville 100 run, August 18th through 20th. We have Marla Bond here from the Community Planning and Development team. And would you like to present those to us?
This is our 3 big August events
All right,
for your consideration. These are, as always, conditioned heavily on all of the agencies and the organizers working collectively to have them come together. So I have not made significant changes to any of the permitting since the last year or so, but anything can be considered should you have something you would like to add.
okay. And I think we got some comments from our emergency management director. Claire, do you want to chime in here and help us craft some additional conditions? I know you had mentioned in a correspondence for public awareness messaging. I'd love to hear more on that, incident action planning, and also conversation around some tasks and roles that the Office of Emergency Management has been doing, but perhaps we can redirect that responsibility more on the applicant.
Yeah, so this is my feedback is considering the Leadville race series. I don't have really any feedback for Boom Days. I think in my comments to y'all earlier, I just wanted to hone on talking with the race series to make sure that we're informing our residents and our visitors that there is these large events going on. These are the roads that are affected. And this is the impact that you can expect. And that includes, down in Twin Lakes and, around Turquoise Lakes, and even communicating with our camper population to understand why there's runners at 2 a.m. around Twin Lakes. So I would just wanted to encourage the race series to kind of focus on that public information awareness. And I know they've been in talks with our tourism director on messaging to runners and just trying to expand that to our visitors and residents as well. We have been doing incident action plans, IAPs for the marathon for the Silver Rush. And I just kind of wanted to get that solidified for the 100s as well, and see if that we can just make that a condition of approval.
Sure. That the IAP needs to be done prior to the event.
Yes, and with that IAP that, we will have planning meetings before that as well.
So is there a date that you would like to have that done before, like the packet pickup on that Friday for the bike is like August 11th, and I would imagine that we'd want to be able to have that information internally shared amongst the referral agencies prior to that. So I would say like no later than the end of the month. That gives you 2 weeks to like disseminate that information locally to any referral agencies that need it. But I don't know what that looks like for you in terms of time frame, if that's enough time or too much time.
That would be a little bit too much time. We do have IAP meetings scheduled, one for the mountain bike on August 10th and another one for the run on August 17th. And by the time we do those meetings, that is just a review of the IAP. So at that point, everything's finalized, and then it's just kind of sending that out to all our partners so they have it. But they've created that information, they're familiar with it. It's just kind of checking off a box by the time we get to those meetings. The planning meetings that happen before that are the ones that are a little bit more involved. That's when we're kind of crafting the information that goes into those IAPs. And I would like to have 1 or 2 of those, and I've been in discussions with the race series on dates that work for that.
Okay, so those planning meetings need to happen prior to the IAP meetings on the 10th and 17th.
Yes.
Okay, and that is a condition of approval.
I would suggest that the board require a lifetime, while this is a Leadville tradition now that the race series comes, the community is still caught by surprise every year. Lifetime does a lot more messaging to the community, especially in Panarch, Twin Lakes, Turquoise Lake, other areas where our limited volunteers, volunteer communication staff, or even our limited real communication, FTE communication staff, right? Like we don't have the bandwidth to support this race in every avenue possible, and we really need them to just step up on the community messaging.
Well, I think just to add to that, like I've seen 2 articles and a podcast on the Colorado Sun about changes to the race for being a spectator that I have not heard in this venue. And so for me, it's concerning that the Colorado Sun has that information and that Lake County does not have that information.
Yeah.
Because we still live here and we still work here, and this is still our community. And if you're going to come here and utilize this community for the race, the least you could do is respect us enough to give us that information while we're approving your permit. So, like, if I have to read about it in the Colorado Sun before it comes to my desk here, that's problematic for me. And I think that needs to be contingent upon approval too. Like, you don't get to just hold this event and say like, oh, we'll just figure it out next year. Like, no, it needs to be figured out now, because we're always here at the last minute. So that information needs to be given out to crews, it needs to be given out to local spectators, it needs to be given out to visitors, and it is not the county's Office of Emergency Management's responsibility.
So that's a great specific, like that information or public, what am I looking for? Announcement.
Yeah.
If that's not already locally dispersed, that's one great specific item. Are there other specific ways that we can do that? I know we put out our message boards, but we only have 2.
Yeah.
Maybe now we have 3. Can we require that perhaps they rent, I mean, asking because I think that those can be pretty effective on some key inlets and outlets and access roads. But Claire or anyone else, do you have any specifics that would be helpful to include in the condition and request?
I don't have anything really specific for the condition. I can talk about what's been done in the past. So last year, Betty Benson from the fire department kind of led the public messaging. Is my audio coming through okay, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. My microphone wasn't lighting up, so I wasn't sure. And, I talked with her yesterday about what she did, and, she did distribute to, the campgrounds at Turquoise Lake, a little flyer. She posted something in the airport. I mean, not the airport, the newspaper. She took flyers down to Twin Lakes and kind of spread it out by posters that way. So I don't think I have anything specific, but that's what's been done in the past.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure that that information is disseminated here first.
Yeah.
Like I
No.
shouldn't read about that in the Colorado Sun.
Yeah.
Not hear about it through the permitting process. Like, we're here to approve your permit, and nobody from Lifetime is here to represent that and talk about those changes to the spectator aspect of those races. But apparently the Colorado Sun has reported on them, and I'm thankful that they have, but it still would be nice to hear those here locally. So yeah, I think contingent on approving this event and this event going forward, that information needs to find its way here somehow.
Yeah. All right, so I've got on here specifically doing significant more outreach, and I don't know if this is too vague, but let's take a try at setting a condition here, Marla.
Of course.
Not just attempting, but complying with the request for this year to do significant outreach to include a local public service announcement, to distribute information similar to flyers at campgrounds and for such visitors and tourists. Maybe to rent and get out variable message boards on key roadways.
Mhm.
And I also think that one thing I've also heard in the last few years and I don't know that they still do this and this would be for the Silver Rush, so it could be just a total different venue, but I think it applies, like that road, the road that comes over down on Elm, as Elm sweeps around, and like just the locals who are impacted directly, some sort of little more direct communications to folks living on 6th Street or whatnot on what the plan is.
That's you.
So maybe more local targeted impacts along race routes.
Yeah. And the communication regarding waivers for spectators, that plan and communication needs to come to us.
Waivers for spectators.
That's what this article says. Spectators are required to sign waivers. And so if that's not included in the
Power line property owner.
Yeah, that's.
Like that's-
Private property
yeah.
owners, yeah.
But how would a
Hear about
spectator
that.
know that if we're approving the permit and no one's here to say that?
Yeah.
Like, I only know about that because I read about it on the Colorado Sun, not because there's a representative here from Lifetime saying, we're implementing this change and here's how we're communicating that to people planning to spectate the race, right? Like, if you're not going to the race to pick up a packet with a bib number, how would you know that?
Mhm.
So is there going to be like increased presence from Lifetime staff at these locations to pick up waivers, and how are,
Or
how do you
QR,
know?
yeah, virtual ways to do it.
But that information hasn't been communicated to us, and it's concerning to me to consider approving this permit without those pieces still being like, well, I read about this in a newspaper article, but not here, so, yeah.
Okay. Claire, were those pieces for public communication, was that the lion's share of the Office of Emergency Management responsibilities that you were trying to address?
Sorry, I swear I'm here. Yes, I think what I'm looking for is just, communication over what still needs to be planned for, where I can help fill in any gaps. And it's just kind of responsibilities like that I worry do come on my plate. And I don't have all the capacity for right now.
Sounds good. So along with that public messaging piece, to include all of those specific, I guess, ways of communicating. I think the other thing we discussed was that making sure those planning meetings happen before the partner meetings, or is that the right word? The department meetings on that final IAP review.
Yes. So, and I have discussed those dates with the race series. I think we're just trying to nail down some calendars. But we do need to, have the planning meetings, and that will inform the development of the IAP.
Okay. So those planning meetings, I think.
Yeah.
Have we missed anything?
I don't think so. I just want to make sure that there's good communication. That's all.
Completely understandable.
Yeah. Well, maybe, not for conditions for this year's, but maybe like when the dust is settled at the end of August, we could sort of politely but firmly communicate that to race series that we just need to have, they need to have someone here. I think that's a really good point that stuck in my brain. It's kind of weird that there's not a representative here to discuss this with us for their permit for their 2 marquee events. So just they really need to step up on everything you were saying, Kayla.
I actually am even inclined to punt this permit to the 26th so that they can give us a plan for it,
A plan for
how you're gonna meet these conditions of communication.
So actually get some.
I was
I mean,
gonna
that's
say
like-
we could put in a condition to come back on the 26th to give us those.
Yeah.
To give us those, and outline them.
I think that makes sense to get their attention.
Yeah, because I
Because I feel like
want-
this has always been said, and
Yeah.
it just never really happens.
And we're kind of under the gun because it's July 18th,
Yeah.
right? Like the bike is August 12th. And so I really want to, I just want to make sure that we're taking this seriously, right? These things, people shouldn't have to seek these things out if they're planning to participate in your event.
Right.
And so I think that we just, the condition is they need to come back on the 26th with a plan for approval.
Specifically on those communication pieces, really, right?
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the event is pretty standard,
Yeah.
but it's the communication piece is about the changes.
Yeah.
And we could redraft the permitting.
Yeah.
To incorporate everything for the concerns to be addressed as well.
We can redraft the permit, or we can better outline that in the permit for next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we want that plan for this year.
Yeah.
For that
Yeah.
public notification, I think.
Yeah.
Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
I mean, to throw a little bone, there has been a lot of improvements, especially on shuttle driving and trying to remove congestion, and I think we've been put in the same place with lots of things going on behind the scenes, and
Totally.
communication, and people not really knowing what wheels are spinning
Yeah.
to get things done, but
Totally.
I think this is very helpful to outline those clear expectations, so.
Yeah.
All right, Marley, got those 2 things, two,
I will.
3 things.
I'll look to make those revisions for your review.
Okay. We'll approve upon your inclusion of those I shouldn't say we will. approve. Okay, but I think
Make
the conversation was leading towards a motion to,
Make the revisions and inclusions.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think we wanna approve it contingent on them coming to our July 26th meeting with these talking points.
Attendance on July meeting.
Yes, is that what?
Yeah. Like that idea a lot. So do we want to just communicate that to them or actually make a motion at this point?
yeah, I was gonna say, if you're gonna propose it contingent on that 26th meeting, we might as well add it to the meeting's agenda.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. But I
And take no
feel,
action at this point, just guidance to staff.
yeah.
Great.
I do feel comfortable with the boom days permit.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
Sorry. For whatever that's worth to you
Thank you.
guys. I don't have any questions on that.
okay,
Yeah, same here.
I will make a motion that we approve the boom days permit for August 4th through the 6th, based on the conditions listed in the report from staff.
I'll second.
all right, any further discussion there?
None for me, thank you.
Not for me.
All right, hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
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 All right, and
and-
then for the Leadville Trail 100 mountain bike and the Trail 10K run and the Trail 100, we are gonna table that.
To,
I'll entertain a motion to table those three events, to July 26th. They've gotta have somebody to show
To be
up,
here.
right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, do we wanna make sure that somebody's available, or we should, that should be,
Oh,
that
like,
should
you,
be,
you mean of us?
well, me.
Or-
No, we
Well,
already have
Like,
it
we're-
scheduled, so that's, we're supposed to be here.
let's make sure that they can attend or hold a special meeting between now and then to talk about that permit.
Okay,
I think it just needs to have a little detail addressed with some staff from Lifetime.
okay. So, I'll entertain a motion to, table those three special event permits to July 26th, unless Lifetime requests a different special meeting date.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion?
Just
No.
discussion, I mean, let's communicate, like, if we could
Yeah.
ask like, whichever the right staff person is to communicate, like, super clearly to Lifetime that they need a person physically here to discuss that with us.
I will do that.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Marla.
Marla.
You're welcome.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion?
No,
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
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 All right, and to our last, new business item, discussion and consideration of PSA with Fire Services Solution LLC. Commissioner Marcelo, is this you?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Okay, so Fire Service Solution LLC, we've worked with Brian Brown before. We had a vehicle available, for purchase that Chief Daly had procured while we were, getting our Type 3 engine. And so Brian was able to spec that vehicle for us to make sure that it fit, the needs of our department and our response. So this PSA with Fire Services Solution is for $10,000, and Brian's going to work with Chief Daly, who just hopped on the line, to assist us with looking at our deferred maintenance and capital expenditure budget, and then develop a asset management plan and capital acquisition plan, so that we're not buying a fire engine that doesn't fit the response of our community, where, like, instead of a Type 1, you need a Type 3, or whatever that might look like, and base that off of things like our ISO rating. And so Chief Daly will be working with Brian on developing that plan, and then give that to us so that we can build that into budgets in perpetuity and not have to account for large expenditures when an engine becomes beyond the point of repair and fails a pump test or something like that, which in turn creates a higher liability for the city and the county. So being proactive about those maintenance and equipment replacement.
Excellent. Yeah, I know we've been talking about this for a while, so.
Yeah.
This is, I think this will be great.
Yeah.
Great foundation to start operating from.
And just a little bit of background on Brian Brown. He is he was an instructor for the EVT class, the Emergency Vehicle Technician designation classes. that was part of an academy, so, he definitely knows his stuff when it comes to these plans and replacements, and I think you've spoken with him before.
Yeah, and he was a command staff for the
South Metro.
Metro Fire Station over their capital acquisition and equipment maintenance, so he is premier expert in the state to help us with this.
Yeah.
In our fleet.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Chief Daly, super excited that you're taking this step. I'm very thankful that you're investing in this to move the needle with your budgeting process for the fire department. So, yeah, nothing further from me.
Chief, do you have any comments?
We can't hear you.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
We can hear you.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes. You're great. We can hear you.
Hey, I'm it's going to be great to upgrade the capital improvement plan, of course, with the expertise from Brian, and certainly the support from the Board of County Commissioners, because this would be a great thing for our community.
Thank you, Chief.
Looks like everybody's frozen. Do I have? Yeah. Did you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. Sorry, I closed up on this end.
No, that's okay. It's a little
Okay.
jumpy and.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, just quickly add, this has been discussed in the fire management board too, so I think everyone, everyone is aware and supportive, so.
Excellent. All right. Fantastic. I'll entertain a motion to approve the PSA with Fire Services Solution LLC.
So moved.
Second,
Any further discussion?
None for me, thank you.
one for me.
All right, hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Great, and last is our consent agenda. We've removed the meeting minutes, the 2 sets of meeting minutes, and what we have left is approval of payroll, veteran service report, accounts payable packet, approval for semi-annual 6-month treasurer's department report, and the approval of the second quarter public trustee report.
I will make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion?
No, thank you.
None for me.
Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Excellent, all right, and we'll get back into our protests.
All right.
Thank you all.
I can end this, yes.
Yes, please.